So starting in a comfy seat, whatever that is for you on your mat, whether it's on your knees, cross-legged, or whether you want to sit on a bolster or a brick, just find a comfortable seat. And then gently close your eyes and just take a moment to arrive on your mat, letting go of whatever the day has brought to you so far, and just taking a moment to simply be in the moment. Noticing how your body feels, whether there's any sensations to be felt anywhere in the body. Maybe something needs a good stretch. Maybe you feel like you need to readjust your position. Simply noticing what there is to be noticed. Then take your awareness to your breath. Simply noticing what your breath is up to start with. Are you inhaling through your nose or your mouth? And does your exhale take the same route, or does it leave another way? Noticing the length of the inhale and the length of the exhale. Noticing the depth of the breath and where the breath moves you. All of these things unique to you and the way that you breathe. And then take that curiosity away from the breath and take it to the mind. And simply notice the busyness of the mind this evening. Not judging in any way, just simply noticing whether our mind is full and busy with lots of thoughts, or whether maybe we feel a little calmer, maybe somewhere in between. And then we'll do a couple of breathing exercises. You can either keep your eyes closed if you're comfortable with that, or just take a soft gaze. Tonight we'll start by inhaling through the nose as we circle our arms out to the sides and up above the head. Really reaching up tall as you reach the top, and then exhale the hands down through heart center. So inhaling through the nose as we sweep the arms out and up, making yourself tall. Exhale out through the mouth as the hands come down through heart center. Inhaling out to the sides and up. And then exhaling hands down through heart center. Good. Now a little slower. Inhaling. And exhaling. Inhaling. And exhaling. Inhaling. And exhaling. Excellent. Now the next one's block breath. So block breath is great for calming a busy mind. So we inhale for 4, we hold the breath for 4, we exhale out for 4, and then we hold the breath out of the body for 4. And if you'd like to move your arms in conjunction with the breath as well, we'll inhale the arms out in front of us and up for a count of 4. We hold the air in at the top for a count of 4. We exhale the arms out to the sides of the body for a count of 4. And then we place our hands in the lap while we hold our breath out for a count of 4. So in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. In. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. In. Hold. Out. Hold. In. Hold. Out. Hold. In. Hold. Out. Hold. Excellent. And just let the breath come back to normal, but throughout class, try and encourage the breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. We'll just get our spine moving in all its directions before we move into some series. So we'll start by placing the left hand down towards your side and reach the right arm up and over. We're just going to stay here for a few breaths, really trying to open the armpit up towards the ceiling, really stretching down the whole right side of the body. And just play around with your hand positioning. What feels freest? Should your palm be facing the ground? Does it feel better with your little finger facing towards the ground, or maybe with your thumb towards the ground? Just have a play on what feels best for you in your arm. Excellent. And pulling the tummy muscles in, we'll sweep all the way over to the other side and reach the left arm up and over. Again, making sure that that armpit's open towards the ceiling, lengthening down the whole left side of the body, really squeezing the sit bones down towards the mat. And then play around with that hand positioning. Does it feel better palm down, thumb down, little finger down? Where do you get the best stretch? Excellent, and come up through centre. So next we'll do a seated cat-cow. So it doesn't matter whether you're on your knees or whether you're cross-legged. Start by placing your hands somewhere on your thighs or your knees, depending on what seating position you've got. And then as you inhale, really stretch the chest forwards, really expanding into the lungs, squeezing the shoulder blades behind you. Then as you exhale, round through the shoulder blades, round through the spine, pull the tummy in, chin to chest. So inhale as you come forwards, really stretching that chest forward, squeezing those shoulder blades behind you. Exhale, round through the shoulders, round through the spine, drop the chin to chest, pull the tummy muscles in. Inhale as you come forwards, open the chest, maybe look up, trying to keep the back of the neck long. Exhale, round through the shoulders, round through the back, pull those tummy muscles in, drop the chin to chest. One more each way, inhaling as you come forwards, and then exhaling as you go back. Beautiful. Come back to a stacked spine, nice and neutral, and then we'll do a twist. So inhaling the arms up above the head. As you exhale, twist around towards the left with the right hand coming to place on your knee. Giving yourself a little bit of traction if you want to, looking out over the shoulder behind you. Just staying here for a couple of breaths. Trying to keep the spine nice and tall so the twist is even throughout your whole spine. Then inhale as you twist back to centre, arms up above the head. And And then exhale, twist towards the other side. Again, using your hand on your knee for leverage, and then looking over the back shoulder. One more breath here. And come back to center. Moving yourself around now to come into all fours, so into tabletop position. So knees underneath the hips, and then wrists can be directly underneath your shoulders, but if that's too much on the backs of your wrists, then just take your hands slightly further forward of your shoulders. So we'll start with a few rounds of cat-cow. So as you inhale, let the belly come down, chest scoots forwards and the eyes look up. Then as you exhale, round through the tailbone, round through the back, round through the shoulders, drop the chin to chest. Inhale as you come down, let the belly come down, let the chest come forwards, look up. And then exhale as we go the other way, rounding through the chest, rounding through the shoulders, pressing the ground away. Inhale to come down. And exhale to go up. 2 more in time with your breath. Inhaling as the belly comes down. Exhaling as you round through the shoulders and pull the tummy muscles in. And then once you've done your 2 rounds, just come to a neutral spine. Before we do the next one, we'll just fire up the core a little bit. So take the right leg out behind you, really grounding down through the 3 limbs that remain on the ground. Get yourself nice and balanced before we move anywhere. Really pulling those tummy muscles in, using all of the muscles around your core. Take a nice big inhale. As you exhale, squeeze the knee in towards your tricep, really squeezing it as tight to your tricep as you can get it. Doesn't matter where on your tricep. Fortunately, it's a nice long muscle. Just pick somewhere. Squeezing it in, squeezing it in, squeezing it in. Then inhale that leg back out behind you again. Good. Exhale the knee down onto the mat. Other side, take the left leg out. Really stretch the toes away from you. Nice long leg, nice neutral spine. Nice big inhale. And then exhale, knee in towards the tricep. Really squeeze the knee in. Really squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Take that leg back out behind you. And then back down to the mat. Excellent. Right leg. Take the right leg out behind you. This time, squeeze the knee in towards your tricep. Maybe get it as close to your armpit as you can. And then we'll take the knee down towards the wrist, keeping the foot off the ground, and then squeeze it back up towards the armpit. Take the knee down towards the ground, squeeze it up to the armpit. One more, down to the ground, squeeze it up to the armpit. Beautiful. Stretch that leg back out behind you. Bring the knee back to the mat. Other side. Left leg out. Get your balance first. Nice neutral back. Pull the tummy muscles in. Inhale. Exhale. Squeeze the knee in towards the tricep. As high towards your armpit as you can. Take the knee down towards the wrist. Squeeze it up to the armpit. Down towards the wrist. Squeeze it up. Down towards the wrist. Squeeze it up. Good work. Take that foot back out behind you. And then pop the knee back down onto the mat. Keeping the back nice and neutral. Nice big inhale. And then as you exhale, look around towards one hip. Trying to make the distance between your shoulder and your hip on that side shorter. So we're making a C shape with our spine. Inhale back through center. Exhale, turn the C the other way, looking towards the other hip. Inhale, center. Exhale, one way. Inhale, center. Exhale, the other way. One more each side. Inhale, center. Exhale, look at one hip. Inhale, center. Exhale, look at the other hip. Excellent. Back to center. This time, tuck the toes. Press through the legs and come up into our first down dog of class. Now it's the first one, so feel free to have a bit of a wiggle and a jiggle here. Maybe you feel like padding from one heel to the other heel. Maybe you feel like stretching down the backs of the legs. Maybe you feel like wrapping your shoulders around the sides of your body or stretching your chest through towards your thighs. Move your body in whatever way it wants to move. And then looking forwards, tiptoe the feet up until they're behind the wrists. Bend the knees a lot and just hang in your forwards fold. Just noticing where the weight is in your feet. Whether you naturally want to move towards your heels, maybe towards the balls of your feet, or whether you're in the sweet spot in between. And just have a couple of breaths here. You can keep your hands on the mat, or you can hold on to somewhere in your legs, or you can go elbow to elbow in ragdoll. And then once you've had a couple of breaths there, really slowly, and just start to roll the spine up to standing, bone by bone by bone by bone, until the head comes up last. Excellent. Inhale, arms up, reaching up, looking up. Exhale, folding forwards, nice big bend in the knees. Inhale, half lift. It can be passive with your hands somewhere in your legs, or reach your hands back for a more active pose. Exhale, fold. Take the left foot back, keeping the left hand grounded. 3 nice big circles through the right shoulder. And then once you've done your 3 circles, take them in the other direction. Excellent. Drop that hand back down onto the mat and step it back to plank. Make your plank nice and strong. Really stretch those heels back down towards the ground. Pressing the hands into the mat, engaging through the shoulders. Hips in line with the body, chest reaching forwards. Really strong in your plank pose. And then either come down through knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, which is like a half press up, into your cobra or your upward facing dog. Nice big inhale here. Then everybody back down to the mat, tuck the toes, take the hips back and up into downward facing. From downward facing, float the left leg up, bend at the knee, open the hip. 3 circles through that hip, making those circles as big as you possibly can. And then we'll take the circles in the other direction. And then once you've done your 3 circles, reach those toes over your back as if you were trying to tickle your right shoulder blade, giving a nice big stretch of all those deep core muscles. One more breath here. And then bring that foot forwards behind the left wrist. Step the other foot forward behind the right wrist and fold. Inhale, halfway lift, can be passive or active. Exhale, fold. Inhale, roll it all the way up to the top, reaching up, looking up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Good, other side. Inhale, arms up. Looking up, reaching up. Exhale, folding forwards, nice big bend in the knees. Inhale, halfway lift, long back, long neck. Passive or active, up to you. Exhale, fold. This time take the right foot back, keeping the right hand down, circling through the left shoulder. 3 big circles one way. And then take those circles in the other direction. Once you've done your 3 circles, place the hand back down onto the mat, step it back to your plank pose. If plank is too much, you can always bring your knees down, but really concentrate on trying to get a long line, either from your knees to your shoulders or from your ankles to your shoulders, depending on whether your knees are raised or not. One more breath here. Then knees, chest, chin, or come down through chaturanga into your cobra or your upward facing dog. Nice big breath here. And then as you exhale, everyone come down to the mat, tuck the toes, take the hips back and up into downward facing. On this side, float the right foot up towards the ceiling. Bend at the knee, open the hip. 3 big circles in one direction, making those circles through the hip as big as possible. And once you've done your 3 circles one way, 3 circles in the other direction. Excellent. Once you've done your 3 circles, really reach those toes over your back as if you were trying to tickle your left shoulder blade, getting a nice good stretch through the deep core muscles. A couple of breaths here. And then straightening out the hips, swing that foot forward behind the right wrist, and then step the left foot forward. And exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, roll it all the way up to the top, reaching up, looking up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Good stuff. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, folding forwards, nice big bend in the knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. This time take the left foot forward left foot backwards even, and drop the knee. Coming up so that the hands are on the front knee. Let the hips sink forwards and down to really get a good stretch down the left hip flexor. Have a couple of breaths here, trying to keep the hips square to the front of the mat. If this feels too easy and you need more of a stretch, you can take your shoulders back, you can reach your arms back, and you can even lift the back knee. So do whichever suits your body best. One more breath here. And then bring your hands to frame the front foot. Scoot the hips back and wiggle that front foot forwards, raising the toes. So we get a good stretch down the back of the front leg. If the ground seems too far away, you can always use a couple of blocks here. I don't have any with me, unfortunately. Also think about your positioning in this stretch. So you still want your hips to be above your knees. The more flexed your toes are towards your nose, bigger the stretch. The longer the back, the bigger the stretch. If you round through your back, it releases the stretch. So really stretch the chest forwards to get a long back. The closer your chest is towards your thigh, bigger the stretch. So work with what's right for you this evening. One more breath here. And then grounding down through that front foot, and wiggle the front foot out to the sides of the mat with the hands coming to the inside edge of your foot. Moving into lizard's pose. Now you can either just stretch the hips forward and down, keeping the back knee down, or if you need more of a stretch, you can lift the back knee up. You essentially want your right knee to be on the outside edge of your right shoulder. If you have more room and you want to come down onto your elbows, feel free to come down onto your elbows. Really stretching into that hip. One more breath here. And once you've had your breaths, if you're down on your elbows, come back up to your hands. And we'll move into lounging lizard. So if your knee is down, lift the back knee. Lift your right hand onto the front knee. And we'll twist our hips down towards the mat. So you'll find that you come onto the outside edge of your front foot. So it's a little bit of a twisty one. So we're moving from a forward lunge, twisting over and dropping the hips down towards the mat. And this could stretch you in a variety of places depending on where your tightnesses are. If you feel like you want to raise the top hand, then feel free to do so. Or you can keep it on that knee. One more breath here. Excellent. And then come back to where we were, into our low lunge. Both hands down onto the mat, step it back to plank. Make your plank as long and as straight as you possibly can, either in full plank or with your knees down. And then we'll either come through knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga into your cobra or your upward facing dog. Couple of breaths here. And then coming down to the mat, we'll take our hips back towards our heels and really stretch out in child's pose, reaching the fingers forward, reaching the hips back towards your heels, trying to lengthen the spine from end to end. And then pushing up through all fours, tucking the toes, pushing it all the way up to downward facing dog. Now for your downward dog, it's more important to have a straight line from your wrists through your shoulders and up through your back to your sit bones than it is to have straight legs. So if you need to bend your legs as much as you need. And then looking forwards, either tiptoe, step, or hop or dance your feet to the tops of the mats, and exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift, passive or active, up to you. Exhale, fold. Inhale, roll it all the way up to the top, reaching up, looking up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Then we'll do the other side. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, folding forwards, nice big bend in the knees. Inhale, half lift, passive or active, up to you. Exhale, fold. This time the right foot goes back. Drop the knee to start with, hands up onto the front knee, and then sink those hips forwards and down. Nice big stretch through that front hip flexor. Good. Couple of breaths here. And again, if you need more, you can take your shoulders up, back. You can reach your hands back. You can raise the back knee. You can do any of those things or all of those things. And then come back out of that and drop the knee to the mat. Hands down either side of the front foot. Scoot the hips back. Wiggle that front foot forwards. toes up towards the nose. So stretching out down the back of the front leg. Keeping those hips above the knees. The more flexed the foot, bigger the stretch. The more you stretch your chest forwards, bigger the stretch as it lengthens your back. And the closer your knee is to your chest, the bigger the stretch. So work with where your body is at today. And just have a couple of breaths here. And then grounding down through that front foot, move the hands to the inside edge of the foot, and then take the hips forwards and down, so moving into our lizard pose. So you can keep the knee down, maybe come onto one elbow, maybe two, or you can lift the knee if you need a bigger stretch. And again, you can also come down onto elbows if you want to. So on this side, your left knee's on the outside edge of your left shoulder. And have a couple of breaths here. And then once you've had your couple of breaths, pushing up onto your hands if you're not there already. And if your back knee is lowered, then just lift that knee up. Bring the left hand to your left knee. And this time we're twisting around so the right hip comes down towards the mat. And your left foot is going to come over onto its side as we come into lounging lizard. So effectively we're twisting around, trying to get our hip as close to the mat as we can. Big stretch around the outside edge of the hip and into the glutes. I'll come on the other way so I can see you all. Excellent, one more breath here. And then we'll switch back around to our low lunge. Hands down on the mat, step it back to plank. Be really strong in your plank. You can always bring the knees down if you need to, or we can keep them raised. And this time we're holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Then knees, chest, chin will come down through chaturanga into your cobra or your upward facing dog. Excellent, nice big inhale here. Then exhale down to the mat. Take the hips back towards your heels into your child's pose. Knees can be together or out to the side, whichever feels best on your hips. Stretching those fingertips forward and stretching those sit bones back towards your heels. Lengthening the spine from end to end. Once you've had a couple of breaths there, come up through tabletop. Tuck the toes, press it up to a downward facing dog. Move your dog wherever you need to move it. Knees can be as bent as you need. And then looking forwards, either step, hop, or wiggle your feet behind your wrists. And exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, roll it all the way up to the top, reaching up, looking up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Good stuff. Okay, a little bit of balancing for this one. So inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Lifting the left knee up in front of you. And play around with whether your foot feels better flexed or pointed. which gives you the most stability. Find somewhere to gaze to help you with your stability. Really pull all of the muscles in towards the midline of the body, pressing the standing foot into the ground, being really solid in your balance. Excellent. And we take the foot behind us as we pivot forwards, coming into Warrior 3. Keeping that same concentration, keeping your gaze strong. Pressing the standing foot into the mat. Stretching the other toes out behind you. And then as we exhale, pull the knee in towards the outside edge of your calf as if you were going to curtsy, and then slide that knee all the way down to the mat and come into seated. Using your hands if you need to. And then we'll come into a seated twist. So turning around towards the right leg. We want both of our sit bones down on the mat here. So if you feel like one is popping up, then just straighten the bottom leg so that you can twist with both sit bones on the mat. If you can have the leg bent and still have both sit bones on the mat, then have the leg bent. Keeping the spine up nice and tall, looking over behind your shoulder. Then turning back towards the front of your mat, lifting that top leg up and over, take it around towards the back. If you're a lover of pigeon, we're going to go into pigeon. If you're not, then come into 90-90. So if you're in 90-90, one shin is parallel with the top of your mat, one shin is parallel with the sides of your mat. And then just really stretch your chest forwards to stretch into that front hip. If you are in pigeon, then your foot is probably going to be a bit closer to your pelvis, and the back leg is stretching out behind you, with both hips facing the front of the mat. So do what suits you best. Any pain in the knees, you're better with 90-90. And then for those of you that need a bigger stretch than this, bend the back knee up and just pull the back foot in towards the glutes. So it's up to you whichever variation of the pose you decide on. Just have a couple of breaths there. If you've bound the back leg, then just release that off. If you're in a 90-90, we're going to rock over onto our front leg, place our hands down and step it back to plank. Holding plank, being really, really strong in your plank. And this time we're going to take the feet kind of hips width or a little bit wider apart. Roll over onto the right hand and the sides of your feet. Stretch your left arm up towards the ceiling into side plank. Excellent. From here, we're going to take the hand underneath the torso to twist, and then inhale the hand back up towards the ceiling. Exhale the hand underneath the torso for twist. Inhale back up to the ceiling. Last one, inhale for twist. Exhale back up. Take the hand back down to the mat, come through normal plank, and then we'll switch to the other side. Really lifting those hips up nice and high. Inhale the right arm up. Exhale, twist it underneath the torso. Inhale it up. Exhale to twist. Inhale it up. Exhale to twist. Good work. Take it back up. Hands down towards the mat, come back into your plank. Then take your Chaturanga Vinyasa, knees, chest, chin, cobra, or come down through Chaturanga into upward facing. Nice big inhale here, and then exhale, come straight up into downward facing dog. Nice big inhale here, nice big exhale here. And then looking forwards, bend the knees, hop the feet behind the hands or give them a little walk up there. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, roll it all the way up to the top. Exhale, hands to heart center. Good work, other side. So, inhale, arms up, reaching up, looking up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Right leg this time. Bring the knee up in front of you. Really grounding down through the opposite foot. Squeezing everything in towards your midline to make you as balanced as possible. Taking your gaze to a fixed point. Play around with the foot. Is it better flexed or pointed? Which gives you the most stability. Press the hands into one another. Engaging through the shoulders, making your whole body strong. Nice big inhale here. On an exhale, we'll pivot at the hips. Take that right leg behind you, coming into your warrior three. Keeping that focus on your gaze, keeping everything pulling in towards the midline of the body. Stretching those toes back. Nice big inhale here. As you exhale, come into curtsy and slide that knee all the way down to the mat until you can sit down. From here, we'll do our seated twist. So if both sit bones are comfy, you can keep the legs bent and turn around towards the left, hugging the front knee, reaching the other arm behind you and looking over your shoulder. If one of your sit bones is popping up off the mat, then just straighten the bottom leg and do the same. Couple of breaths here, really lengthening through the spine, looking over the back shoulder. You can use your arm or your elbow as leverage on the bent knee. One more breath here. And then coming back to center, if you have your bottom leg straight, bend it back up, and then take the top leg up and over and behind you, coming into your chosen pose, whether it's 90-90, with your shins parallel to the top of your mat and the side of your mat, and then just reaching the chest forwards to stretch through the hips. Or if you want to do pigeon, then taking that back leg all the way back and stretching over the hips so the hips are facing forwards. Couple of breaths to get into your pose. And for those of you that then need more of a stretch, feel free to bend the back knee up and pull the foot in towards the glutes. One more breath here. Then if you have the bind on your leg, release it off. If you're in 90-90, roll yourself forwards with your hands onto the mat, and then everybody lift up your hips and step it back to plank. Get really strong in your plank. This time, instead of going side to side, we're going to do high-low plank. So if you need to drop your knees to the mat, feel free to drop your knees to the mat. In all instances where the knees are raised or hired, take the right arm down into forearm plank and then the left arm down. Make your forearm plank really strong. Push the left hand back up, push the right hand back up. Then we'll take it the other way. So left forearm down first, followed by right forearm. Good. Press up with the right forearm, press up with the left. Then take your preferred vinyasa, knees, chest, chin, cobra, or come down through chaturanga into upward facing dog. Nice big inhale, and then come into your downward facing dog. Looking forwards, bend the knees, step or hop or wiggle the feet behind the wrists, and exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, fold. Inhale, roll it all the way up to the top, reaching up, looking up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Then take a quarter turn so you're facing the sides of your mats. Take a nice big step. Have your feet where they feel comfortable. If you feel like there's some sort of compression in your knees when your feet are parallel towards the edges of the mat, then take your toes out to the corners of the mat. Make your legs as free as possible. Get really, really strong in your legs before we move anywhere. And then keeping the back nice and long, hands on hips, we simply pivot from the hips, bringing the torso forwards until we can't go any further forwards. Keeping that back nice and long, stretching the chest forwards. Excellent. Then drop one hand down to the mat, the other arm up towards the ceiling into a twist. Trying to keep those hips facing forwards. Inhale the hand back down. Exhale the other arm up to twist the other side. Inhale, arms down. Exhale, other arm up. Inhale that arm down. Exhale the other arm up. One more each side. Inhale the hand down. Exhale the opposite arm up. Inhale that hand down. Exhale the other arm up. And then bring that hand down. Allow your body to completely fold forwards. Notice where your weight is in your feet. Try and make it as even as possible. Maybe nod the head a couple of times, maybe shake the head a couple of times just to release any tension in the neck. And then straighten the back. Bring the hands back to the hips. Nice big inhale. Then as you exhale, pull the tummy muscles in and bring yourself in a nice straight line back up to standing. If your toes aren't already turned out to the corners of your mats, turn them out to the corners of your mats and sink down into goddess pose or temple pose. Getting the hips nice and low. To start with, we'll place the hands on our knees and just drop one shoulder in as you press that knee away to stretch down the sides of the body. Then switch over to the other side. Switching one way and then the other way. One more each side. Excellent. And then back into your goddess pose. Hands into cactus and a few little hand claps. Clapping those fingers down into our palms, really warming up through our forearms. Trying to take our minds off the fact that we're still in goddess pose and your thighs might be burning. Keep clapping, make them a bit noisier. Keep breathing. Maybe take the hands out to the sides whilst you're clapping those fingers into your palms. Maybe take them up above your head. Maybe bring them back to cactus. Keep clapping. Keep those elbows together. Then maybe take them back out. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Straighten the legs. Give your hands a little shake. Then taking one hand out in front of you, fingers down towards the ground. Taking your other hand, pull those fingers in to stretch down the forearm. And then take your head towards the opposite shoulder to get a stretch down the neck too. Excellent. Bring the head back to center, other hand out, drop the fingers down, squeeze those fingers back towards your forearm. Take the neck to the other side. Excellent. Bring the head back up. Coming down into yogi squat or malasana. So depending on your body, come down as far as you can. So you might be somewhere here. You might be a bit further. You might be all the way down in malasana. It doesn't matter whatever shape you make. you're still going to be stretching bits of your body. Equally, if your heels are up off the mat in Malasana, just means you've got tight ankles. So work with whatever you've got. And if your heels are up off the mat, see if you can make your feet a little bit wider, because that might just give you a little bit more room to get into it. And then whichever shape you're in, as your elbows squeeze into our inner thighs, we're going to squeeze our inner thighs in towards our elbows. So squeeze and release, squeeze and release, squeeze and release. 3 more. Squeeze, squeeze and squeeze. Good stuff. Then release that off, bring the hips all the way down to the mat. Move yourself around. So your toes are towards the bottom of your mat and your sit bones are on your mat. Hands straight out in front of us. Really reaching those fingertips away. Pull the tummy muscles in and we're going to roll down nice and slowly for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, squeeze it in when it gets a bit harder, 5, squeeze it in even harder, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax everything down on the mat. Legs nice and long. I've lulled you into a full sense of security by bringing you into Savasana, but we're not quite over yet. So from here, hands straight up towards the ceiling. We're going to do a reclined crow. So no hand balancing, you'll be pleased to know, but we are going to fire up everything you need for crow. So arms nice and long, and then flex your fingers back towards your face as if you were doing a plank but laid on our backs. From here, we'll bring our toes towards the mat. So our toes are on the mat and our knees are up towards the ceiling. So to start with, we'll just lift our toes up so that our shins become parallel to the ceiling. Pull the tummy muscles in nice and tight, and then slowly lower the toes down towards the mat. Squeeze them back up again. Lower them down towards the mat. Squeeze them back up again. Lower them down towards the mat. Squeeze them back up. Good work. Now take the feet down and let them ground down this time. So this time, instead of taking the toes down towards the mat, we're keeping our arms stretched up towards the ceiling. We're keeping our hands flexed. This time we're going to take a nice big inhale, and on the exhale, we're going to squeeze our knees all the way up, lift our tailbone off the floor, and try and squeeze our knees in towards our triceps, and then back. So inhale, exhale, squeeze the knees to the triceps, take them back. Squeeze the knees to the triceps, take them back. Squeeze the knees to the triceps and take them back. Good. Last one in this little series. We're going to make that same shape, but instead of rolling backwards and forwards, this time we're going to squeeze those knees in and hold them there. You might also find it a bit easier just to round through the shoulders and maybe lift your head off the floor slightly to stay. So take a nice big inhale. Exhale, squeeze your knees to your thighs and squeeze, 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 and release. Then let your arms come down by your sides. Keep your feet on the floor. So just a couple more bits before Savasana. Take the arms out nice and long. Take your feet as wide as your yoga mat and just windscreen wipe the legs from side to side. Just stretching out down the sides of the body, stretching out all the muscles around the hips and the glutes. Maybe stretching the knee away as it comes down towards the floor. And then once you've done both sides equally, bring your feet so they're back on the mat, knees up towards the ceiling, arms down by your sides. Take a nice big inhale here. Exhale as you press your feet into the mat to notice how that changes the position of your lower back. Inhale here. And then exhale, release the feet. So all we're doing is changing the pressure in the feet. Inhale. Exhale, press the feet. Inhale here. Exhale, release. Inhale. Exhale, press. Inhale. Exhale, release. One more. Inhale. Exhale, press. Inhale. Exhale, release. And then we'll move into final Savasana. So if your lower back is happy and healthy, then feel free to take your legs that long and let your feet fall open to the sides. Arms can be down by your sides, palms up or palms down, whichever feels more natural this evening. Or you can place your hands on your lower abs / hip bones. Any problems in the lower back, bring your feet to the mat, let the knees roll in. Or if you feel like a stretch on the hips, take the soles of the feet together and let the knees fall out into butterfly legs. And lastly, if you're fancying a restorative pose this evening, take your legs up the wall. So pick whichever Savasana position suits you best. And then allow your body to sink into the mat beneath you, giving it the signals that you finished your yoga for this evening and it can go about its job of regulating all your body functions, your breath, your temperature, fixing any connective tissue or realigning any fascia that you might have lubricated. Taking a moment just to be on your mat. And then we'll finish our class as we began. Taking your awareness to notice how the body feels. Noticing any sensations there are in the body to be felt. Noticing the busyness of the mind. Noticing the character of the breath. And taking a mental note to see whether anything has changed since the start of class. And then just take a few moments to simply watch your breath come and go as it ebbs and flows in and out of the body. And then when you're ready, and there's no rush at all, gently bring your awareness back to your body laid on your mat. And think about moving. Maybe a single finger or toe. Maybe taking the pad of your thumb across each of your fingertips. Rolling through your wrists or your ankles. Maybe rolling the head from side to side. Move your body in whatever way it craves. If you fancy a big stretch, have a big stretch. If you want to twist then twist. And then when you're ready, and there's no rush at all, roll over onto your side, come up to seated, and your practice for this evening is done. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it.